Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor, text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show comes to you from the Par-Mar Store studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. Brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group as well, including Thornhill CDJR and the Thornhill Motor Mile. Time to make this the season of Ram at the all-new Thornhill Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Check them out, Fountain Place Mall to Logan, or at thornhillcdjr.com. Phone calls to the show with service of Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly on Spring Street in Charleston. Texting services provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony Vitaylor, Virginia Street in Charleston. Visit bestmastertaylor.com. The big story, of course, and we're going to get into a little bit later on, another attempt on the life of former President and GOP nominee Donald Trump. A man pointed a rifle onto a golf course in West Palm Beach where the former president was playing yesterday. Now, after initially saying it was not an attempt on the life of Trump, now the FBI says the guy was Ryan Wesley Ruth. Or Ralph, I've heard it pronounced both ways, and he had an AK-47. He was 58 years old, had lived in North Carolina most of his life before moving to Hawaii. He apparently posted quite a lot on social media about the war in Ukraine and had a website where he was raising money to recruit volunteers to go to Kyiv to fight against the Russian invasion. Going back to 2020, he had made a post on what was then known as Twitter saying the former president would be elected again if he were to issue an executive order to prosecute police misconduct. Now, over the last couple of years, he had stated his support for President Biden and now Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. He was not a Republican or Democrat, though. He's actually registered unaffiliated. And what we know at this point, he had multiple run-ins with the law in North Carolina in the past. In 2002, he was convicted of possessing what was called a weapon of mass destruction. And there are reports that he may have at least at one point took part in some sort of a barricade type situation involving police. Now, that was of about an hour or so ago. That had not been confirmed. As for West Virginia, Senators Capito and Manchin, as well as gubernatorial candidate and Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, current governor and Republican U.S. Senate candidate Jim Justice, and State Democratic Party Chair and Delegate Mike Pushkin all out with statements condemning the assassination attempt. We'll, of course, get back to more of this later on the show if time allows, and certainly Hoppy's going to get into it coming up at the top of the hour. You've heard on the show in the past Tony Hodge on the show before. Tony is the vice chair of the state Republican Party, but he's ventured out with another project having really nothing to do with his role within the party, totally independent of his role there. Tony started a podcast primarily focused on faith and family. Last time he was on this show, in fact, that's what we talked about, those two particular subjects. He's now got this podcast that's quite frankly becoming pretty big hit, not only here but all across Al Gore's interwebs. So I'm going to talk to Tony about that, plus your hometown baseball team. The Charleston Dirty Birds have made the playoffs. They play 2 here tomorrow night. And then also, one tomorrow night, one Wednesday night, I should say, over at Goldmark Ballpark. Joe Gearin from the Dirty Birds is here with all the info you need a little bit later on in the show as well. Plus, calls and text are welcome too. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor, text 304-935-5008. Big event happening this Saturday at Kanawha State Forest to benefit the CAMC's Children's Advocacy Center. It's called the WeCANClimb, and Robby Queen is the Senior Development Officer for the CAMC Foundation, and Maureen Runyon, the coordinator of the CAMC Children's Advocacy Center. Both join us to talk about it. Robby, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. It's great to be back. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. Maureen, welcome to the show. That's the first time you've been on this show, right?
It is.
But you've been on some of the other stations in the building.
Thanks for having me.
Save the best for last. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I hope Steve's not hearing this.
He's taking a nap. What exactly is the CAMC Children's Advocacy Center?
So, I always say we do the work that no one likes to think about. We know that kids in our community and across our state and country are victims of child abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and they need someone to take care of them. And so we get referrals from multitudes of different community agencies, physicians, parents, and we provide the services of what's called a forensic interview, where we have staff that are trained to talk to kids in a way that is considered neutral, child-friendly, to try to figure out what's going on in their life. And then we have specially trained medical providers who provide medical evaluation and assessment. We have therapists who provide counseling free of charge to kids, and then also people called family advocates who help the family to understand and deal with what's going on. And so it's kind of a one-stop shop for the evaluation and treatment of these children.
And sometimes I think when we have these situations, Maureen and Robby, with kids in these situations, sometimes it can be, no matter what the situation is, illness, obviously, or some sort of whatever, it can be just as difficult on the families because the families just don't know. I mean, they can leave the medical aspect up to the professionals, but there's so many other things that go into it that they just don't know how to handle.
Right. And, we know statistically that 90 to 95% of the people who abuse children are someone they know, love, and trust. So for that parent that has not hurt their child, it's a grandparent, it's an aunt and uncle, it's a sibling. And so that is really devastating to them to have someone that they trusted to be a caregiver to their child to abuse that trust in the worst way.
Of all people, in the family. Now, Robby, you guys are doing a 5K trail run and a 2.5-mile trail hike. Is that right? Did I get that?
That's right.
Believe it or not, I'm not really big into that stuff. I know you're going to find that hard to believe.
That's the other breaking news of the day, right? Dave is not into fitness.
I'm into fitness cheeseburger in my mouth. But this is a 5K trail run and a 2.5-mile trail hike to support the Advocacy Center. It's going to be this Saturday, Kanawha State Forest Shelter number 3. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what exactly goes on there?
Marine listed a host of services that they provide at the Children's Advocacy Center, and it's because of events like this with WeCANClimb that they are able to provide those services at no cost to the child or family. If there's an insurance involved, that's billed, but the child and family, they do not receive a bill for anything that is any of the services that are provided at the Children's Advocacy Center. So this event helps raise funds to support the work that the Children's Advocacy Center does and the staff there. This is a 5K trail run, 2.5-mile hike. So if you're into the trail running, this is a great event for you. If you just like to take a nice hike on the last day of summer, fall starts on Sunday. If you want to get out and take a hike, this would be a great event too. The event starts at 8 a.m. Registration starts at 8 a.m. The event starts at 9 a.m. at Kanawha State Forest Shelter number 3. Should be a great morning weather-wise. We were looking at the weather before we came in. About like it is right now outside that morning. Should be a good time.
Now, is this a new event?
This is actually the 10th annual
event. 10th annual, okay.
So it is the newest event in the CAMC Foundation's host of events that we do. This is the third year that we've worked with Maureen and her staff to conduct this event. But it's the 10th year for it, and we have seen continued growth year after year, and I think this year is proving to probably be a record year for us.
We certainly hope so. It's 9:16. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Jute. For the best in security systems for both your home or business, talk to Jute, J-O-O-T, of Tays Valley. Visit protectedbyjute.com. People want to get involved. Do we have sponsorships available,
Sure.
or where are we on that?
We are winding down our sponsorships. Probably by the end of today, we'll have to have signs sent off to print. But other than that, we are encouraging folks to get out and enjoy the day. They can register online through the end of the day on Wednesday, the 18th. and that can be done via our website, CAMCFoundation.org, or they can call our office at 304-388-9860. Once registration goes down online, we'll accept registrations over the phone, and we'll also accept registrations on site that morning. The cost to register is $30. That includes a nice long-sleeve T-shirt branded for this year's event, plus some other swag that we have to include in our bag. We have had a great response from sponsors in the community this year. These events don't happen on their own, and if it was not for the generosity of the community here and both businesses and individuals realizing the importance of the work that is done at the Children's Advocacy Center, this wouldn't be possible. So the donors have really stepped up to help provide these services that are much needed.
Big event. Again, it's going to be happening this Saturday, Kanawha State Forest, shelter number 3. It's kind of where everything gets going. And what's the time again?
Sure. Registration starts at 8 a.m. The event starts at 9 a.m. And again, folks can sign up on our website, CAMCFoundation.org, or they can go give us a call at the office at 304-388-9860.
All right, Robby, appreciate you being here. Maureen, great to have you on the show. Don't let this be the last time. And you don't have to bring this guy with you every time.
Anytime.
Realize that. Okay, we wish you the best of luck with everything this weekend. Thanks a lot. The Dave Allen Show and 580 Live brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants. Poor indoor air quality can cause a variety of health issues, including allergies, respiratory problems, and more. Pinnacle offering specialized indoor air quality services for residential, commercial, and industrial type settings. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. We're going to take a break. The Dirty Birds are headed to the playoffs. We're going to talk to Gearin from the Dirty Birds coming up, plus Tony Hodge, vice chair of the Republican Party, talking about his new podcast. That's coming up a little bit later on. Back after this from the Parmar Store studio on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Red, white, and broom into summer savings at Thornhill CDJR on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Hey, it's Sydney, and it's time to make this the summer of Ram with up to $8,650 off MSRP on the new 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorn, or 5.9% APR for 72 months and no payments for 90 days. These deals are as powerful as the trucks themselves. Thornhill CDJR, where adventure begins. It's a Red, white, and broom made this the summer of Ram sales event at the all-new Thornhill Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Visit us at Fountain Place Mall, Logan, next to Tractor Supply, or online at thornhillcdjr.com. Number 24C038 for all offers through Stellantis Financial. See Thornhill for all details.
Are you changing jobs or gearing up for retirement? Don't navigate your financial journey alone. At 4th Avenue Financial, we specialize in guiding individuals through life's transitions. From optimizing your retirement savings to managing your investments, we're here to provide expert advice every step of the way. Schedule your free consultation with John Burdett and take control of your financial future today. 4thavenuefinancial.com.
Securities offered through Jenny B. Cole Financial Incorporated. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Jenny B. Cole Advisors Incorporated.
In the heart of West Virginia, there exists a profound force that goes beyond the realm of sports, transcending limitations and fostering a sense of belonging. Special Olympics, a remarkable initiative showcased in the latest episode of West Virginia Enriched in collaboration with Huntington, stands as a testament to the power of determination, unity, and unwavering support. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show and 580 Live presented in part by General Hardware of Winfield and Milton General Lumber of Winfield. For all projects big and small, shop locally. Visit generalhardwarewv.com. Coming up on tomorrow's show, the governor has announced the special session will begin Monday, September 30th. One of the big issues a lot of people certainly hoping will be addressed is just about anything having to do with child care. Delegate Kayla Young is one of those, and the Democrat from Kanawha County will join us on the show tomorrow. Also going to spend some time talking about the Salvation Army here in the Kanawha Valley as well. That is coming up on tomorrow's show. Texas, why are Republicans trying to assassinate Trump? With this latest Trump assassination attempt, we need to heed the words of Trump and Vance on gun violence. We need to get over it, says Trump, and that's a fact of life, says Vance. Well, the person who is accused of the would-be assassin was unaffiliated, not a Republican or a Democrat. Your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds, heading toward the playoffs. They'll take on Gastonia for 2 here at Gomart Ballpark tomorrow night and also Wednesday night. Jill Gearin, the play-by-play voice of the Birds, marketing and dang near everything else that needs to be done there, joins us now. Jill, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you. Happy playoff week.
Absolutely. It was a little slow to get there last week, but the Birds are heading to the playoffs, and at least 2 of the games will be here tomorrow night and Wednesday night against Gastonia.
Correct. It's a best-of-5 series. First 2 games start tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we play in Gastonia Friday, and then, if necessary, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so we got 2 here, and then the rest, is that what you said?
The rest of the 3 are in Gastonia. If we win this series, and the championship series would start here again next Tuesday and Wednesday. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes. Well, it's kind of funny because I was talking to Jill. We were texting back and forth on, Thursday. And at that time, the Birds had to win Thursday night to make the playoffs.
Correct.
And I said, well, let's have you win. But then I said, no, wait a minute. Let's wait till they're actually in, because I know how sports people can be about superstitions and about jinxes and things like that. So I wanted to wait till the ink was dry and they were officially in before we got you in. But you're here, and now how's the tickets going to work? Just like a regular game or what?
Regular game, regular prices for tickets. You can go online at dirtybirdsbaseball.com or come over to the box office on Morris Street. But the promotions are a little bit different. We're basically combining all of our best promotions of the season into these 2 days. So both days, kids 12 and under get in for free. It's Bark in the Park where you can bring your dog. And we also have $2 hot dogs, soda, beer, and popcorn.
Popcorn, yeah. And I think that's kind of cool that you're doing that, because, the Birds do all sorts of promotions. Every night something, going on there, and you do the Thirsty Thursday, and you do the Bark in the Park and the fireworks and whatever. But this is really probably the most popular ones, or the Bark in the Park and the $2 deals. And so and the kids under 12 admitted free. So you're doing that for both nights,
right? I think other than fireworks, is probably the best promotions that we have in terms of what minor league baseball is supposed to be, of family friendly. So kids get in for free, and then also it's affordable. We're $2 food, beer, soda. So it should be a great time coming out. We have plenty of tickets left, and we just want to pack the house and make sure that our boys feel supported by their hometown team.
Talk about the overall season for the Dirty Birds. I mean, the way that the league works is it's divided up into 2 different seasons, and let's just kind of give us a review of the entire season.
Yeah, so I mean, in the first half, we were off to an amazing start where I was thinking, oh my gosh, championship team, no doubt. And then we had a lot of guys get picked up by major league teams, which is great. We're happy for them. But we really saw a plateau, even a little bit of a downhill, if you will, where at the second half I was thinking, man, I don't think we're going to have any chance. And all of a sudden, with the same guys that we've had a few more pickups in the bullpen, we've had a great run in the second half, and we have some momentum going in against Gastonia.
I mean, they just kind of, like you said, they picked it up. And when you're talking about the way that the structure of baseball is, as you said, Jill, it's a good thing when your players get noticed. But for people that are trying to run the organization, you're like, "Yay, we're glad that Jim got picked up." But
come back.
We got to get somebody to take Jim's place. How's the crowds been this season?
Crowds have been great. We are on track to break records. I mean, look, weekends are always an exciting time, so that's why we put a lot of our great promotions for the weekdays, because we want people to come out to the ballpark on Tuesdays and Wednesdays too. And,
we're talking to Joe Gearin of the Dirty Birds here. They have made the playoffs. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Husson's Pizza. This month, it's your favorite Husson's. Get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and an 8-inch chocolate chip cookie for $23.99. Now, I am presuming, because, Jill, throughout the season, you guys have changed names a couple of times just for promotional. But what was the one related to salt that you just did last week?
Yeah, the Salt Town Dirty Birds.
The Salt Town Dirty Birds. But this is all Dirty Birds, right? This is no salt, no Charlies, no anything.
Correct.
This is all Dirty Birds.
All Dirty Birds. We need the Dirty Birds to win it all, and that's who we're going to be.
And the weather, Robby Queen, my last guest, and I were talking about, the weather looks pretty good, because we definitely need some rain. I don't think anybody's going to complain about the rain, but we'd like to not have it during the game. And from what I saw and earlier this morning, it looks like any rain that we get probably would be earlier in the day tomorrow.
Which is perfect. I mean, again, we play on turf at Gomart Ballpark.
Right,
so if we have rain in the morning, that's great for the area, and we can still play. So if you see rain in the forecast, do not worry. This game is happening.
Let's talk about the community support of the Dirty Birds. I mean, Charleston's been a baseball town for many, many years, going back to the Charlies and the Senators and the Wheelers and the Alley Cats and the Power and so on and so forth. That's continued. And this is your first year here, and you've been around baseball for some time. I think you'll attest to the fact that Charleston's a baseball town. Right.
Remember, I moved here at the end of February to become the manager of community relations. So I kind of didn't really know what I was getting myself into in a new community, a new area, but the support has been amazing. I just saw you at Ribfest this past weekend, and we just have a Dirty Birds table out, and people automatically come up and say, "Hey, what's going on at the Dirty Birds? I heard you're making the playoffs." Just the support has been great, and it really is a testament to Andy Shea and the management as well of how they want to be a part of this community. They support this community, and the community supports us.
And there is, again, a sense every game is important, but when you start talking playoffs, then you may get some people that haven't been to a game in a while to say, "Hey, I want to come out for this."
Right. Definitely come because it's going to be electric. The toast section with Toast Man is going to be crazy. Right behind home plate, we're still going to have all of our fun promotions going on. So, yes, the focus is a little bit more on baseball because we want to win, but the fan atmosphere is still going to be fantastic.
And talk about this league. There were some questions because, over the years, Charleston baseball has been in a variety of different leagues, and this league has been a bit different, a bit of the change, but overall it looks like it's worked out well.
It's been great. This is my first year in unaffiliated ball, so it was different for me as well, but the play is frankly better than what I had the last few years where I had some young 19, 20-year-olds. These are guys who have been in the major leagues, guys who want to make it to the major leagues. The youngest guy on the team is 23, and I think the oldest is in his 40s. So we have a wide range, and just the level of talent has been great. For example, I just found out who our two starters are for this week. It's Kiva Sampson and Christopher Ogondo. Both of them have big league experience. So it's an amazing league to be a part of.
And let's talk about the guys that have been called up. As you said, you had an amazing first half of the season, and with that comes the plucking away of the players. They get called up. Talk about some of the guys that did get a call this year.
None of them have made it to the major leagues
right.
just
yet. But they're on their way.
Exactly. They're an affiliate. A lot of them are in AA, AAA. The first one that comes to mind is Kevin Maiton, where he is now with the Twins, and he wasn't even our opening day starter. He was on the bench for opening day, and then he played first base, and he hit amazing, and he did not sit another day until he got picked up by the Twins. So he was a great pickup for them. We had some amazing starters. Kevin McGowan, a former big leaguer, he got picked up. So did Trey Shupak. And when those two got picked up, that was when we started having a little downfall because we needed some more pitchers. But we're excited for them. We keep up with their careers as much as possible, and we wish them nothing but the best.
All right, let's review again, Jill, before we let you go, because I know you got a lot to do to get ready for this. So we're playing 2 games at Go Ballpark tomorrow night and Wednesday, 6:35 start time. Gates open at 5:30, and it's all the $2 promotions that you love, from the popcorn to the beer to the water to the sodas, and the kids 12 and under get in for free.
Yes, and to Bark in the Park where you can bring your dogs.
Both nights. Again, exactly. We want to make sure people realize that the promotions we talked about are good Tuesday night into Wednesday night. So definitely we've got 2, and then you head down to Gastonia after that. And we need to pack the ballpark tomorrow night to make sure that the Birds continue what's been an amazing season for them. Jill Gearin, little Miss Everything for the Dirty Birds. I appreciate you being here. We'll see you at the ballpark tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It is 9:30, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. I'm going to take the break a little bit early. When we come back, Tony Hodge will join us. We're back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
According to USA Today, 1 in 7 children in West Virginia face food insecurity issues. Hi, I'm Jason Quintrell, President and CEO of Union Mission Ministries. There are some obstacles our children face with access to food despite many feeding programs available. That is why Union Mission has partnered with some local middle schools to place food directly into the hands of children who need it. Help us remove those obstacles and help feed our kids. Visit unionmission.com to learn more.
Satisfy your cravings at First Place Cafe in Nitro. This week's 50-50 Friday. Indulge in mouth-watering hamburgers, flavorful hot dogs, and the legendary Big Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Their generous portions and full bar make for a complete dining experience. Visit their website to check out their full menu. Delight in the taste of excellence at First Place Cafe. Friday at 9 a.m. Go to WCHSnetwork.com and click that 50-50 Friday button to get 50% off gift certificates for First Place Cafe, courtesy of the WCHS family of networks.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
28 minutes away from 10, a Monday edition of the show, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you by Brightway Insurance, the Mays Agency. Spend time on your business, not your insurance. Brightway Insurance, the Mays Agency, can help explain the type of insurance you need based on your line of business, your location, and other important factors. They can select different insurance companies to make sure you're getting the right coverages and prices to protect your business. For more, visit BrightwayMays.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. He is the vice chair of the state Republican Party, but today he joins us not in that role. Tony Hodge is here. You've heard him on the show many, many times in the past. Well, since he was here last, he started his own podcast. And to say that things have taken off would be a bit of an understatement. He joins us now to talk about it. Tony, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. It's good to be here. And I do want to tell you right now, I'm serving as secretary of the WVGOP.
Okay, I'm sorry, secretary.
We've switched up roles, but anyway, still an officer in the West Virginia Republican Party. And I want to say this real quick. I'm actually feeling good this morning. I'm uplifted because your previous guest said that they have players on their professional baseball team that range from their 20s all the way into their 40s. And as a man in his 40s, I'm glad to know that I am still could be eligible to play professional baseball. So I'm feeling invigorated today.
You know, she didn't say anything about 50s, which is where I am, right? That's kind of the cutoff.
Yeah, that's you'll have to deal with that.
I guess. Let's get right to it. I want to hear about this podcast. First of all, what's it called?
Yeah, it's called Viewpoint with Tony Hodge.
Okay, and what is the subject, where it's available? Give us all the details.
Yeah, so the subject matter, what we do on Viewpoint is we talk about worldview issues. And worldview is kind of like just what it says. It's how people view the world. And so people have different worldviews. You may have a Christian worldview. You may have a non-religious worldview. Your worldview, your religion may be politics. I don't know. But everybody has a worldview. And what we like to do is we like to dissect people's worldviews and then see how worldviews intersect with our politics, how it intersects with our daily life. And so it was kind of a negative space that I detected, especially in West Virginia. We don't have a lot of programming that covers that kind of thing. And so I thought, well, if there's no one doing it, why not do it? And I'll tell you, I've been very, very pleased with the results. I was just looking this morning before I came on the air because I wanted to have my facts in order. But we, believe it or not, are now coast to coast. We have listeners in Pennsylvania, Chicago, Texas, Oregon, even Mexico. So we're in one other country, but we're in almost all 50 states. I think it's about 40-some states now. Of course, all over West Virginia. That's our most popular listening area. But yeah, we try to have interesting guests on, and so let me tell you. So one thing that you do and what Hoppy does, you guys play a very important role for the public. you bring people on, just like the guests you've had today, and you put forth, information that's interesting to the public, let people know what's going on out there.
Well, that's the plan. Doesn't always work out that way.
Well, yeah, until you had me on, and then everything changed.
No. So we go ahead.
But no, what you guys do is very important. But me coming on, I come on your show from time to time, and I go on and interviewed in other places. And a lot of times when I come on and am interviewed in short, 20-minute bits or whatever the case may be, a lot of times it's talking points. I'll come in and I'll have talkers prepared. That's what we call them in the business, talkers. I'll have some prepared.
I love it. He's using the lingo now, Ryan.
Yeah,
we have talkers.
Yeah, I'm coming along. So, but everybody does. Just like your previous guests, I know that they came in prepared with the information that they can get out in a specified period of time, and that's important. And there's a role for that. But I found a lot of times when I would come on, let's say, for instance, on this program, we would get texters or callers, and there may be something that I'm trying to put forth that I don't quite have enough time to fully explain.
Right.
What
most
we're talking about.
Most of the guests on my show are in 10 to 15-minute segments for the most part.
Sure. And a lot of times people's ideas take longer than that to get out. And so we come on and we try to get it out as quickly as possible. But with the podcast format, which doesn't compete with this at all, what we do is we may take one guest and do a deep dive. I may have some interesting person on and say, okay, let's sit down and talk for an hour, 2 hours, however long you want to sit down and talk. And then let's dig deeper than just your talking points. I want to know your talking points, but then once you release those, I want to know, okay, why do you believe that? What's the worldview behind that? Why do you have the position that you have? And so far it's been very popular. We have high listenership, and it's growing and growing every day.
Give me an example of some of the shows. I mean, just a couple of guests that you've had, a couple of topics that you've gotten into, because I do want to reiterate that you're doing, Tony, this podcast totally separate from your role as now secretary with the state Republican Party. This is not sanctioned in any way by the state Republican Party. This is just Tony the dude.
That's right.
It's you're kind of independent on this. So give me an example of some of the topics, some of the guests that you've had on the show.
Yeah, so it is independent from the Republican Party. Our chairman, Matt Harridge, he also has plans to do something, but his will be more in his role as chairman of the Republican Party, so he'll cover that space. This is me on my own, separate from that. So a few examples. So one of my early guests was an author by the name of Leonidas Johnson.
He's been on this show before.
Yeah, he's actually been on the show before. He's very good, and he wrote a book called Raising Victims: The Pernicious Rise of Critical Race Theory, and it talks about just that. And so I had him on the show to talk about critical race theory. The interesting thing about him is he's a black man, and so I hear him speak about it from his point of view, from his worldview, and he brings a whole perspective that maybe I don't always see all those angles, that he sees.
A perspective that you or I or maybe others could not understand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because, him and I mean, we agree on these things. But so he came on and spoke about critical race theory, the history of it, the Marxist worldview that's behind it, and then how it's affecting our culture today. So we talked about that from all different perspectives. But the interesting thing about him is we didn't just talk about that. He's also a very interesting fellow because he does theater work. He writes screenplays. He writes theater plays. He does all these things. So we talked about that too. So and then we talked about, well, why do you do that? What interests you? What role does theater and things like this have in our society? So we go deeper than just talking about your talking points, so to speak. Another individual that I had on was Aaron Wren. He authored Life in the Negative World, which I talked about a little bit on this show the last time I was on, and he talks about how America no longer sees Christianity as a positive. And he talks about the history of that and going into how, America, when we were founded, most of our founders cited the Bible more than any other work of writing ever, by far. And he talks about that in the book. But that was at a time, whether or not you believe this nation is a Christian nation, we can all agree. Because it's history. It's just fact. We can all agree that the nation was founded on biblical principles. That's a fact. There's just no getting around it. But now, today, a lot of our Christian principles are seen negatively. And so we talked about that with Aaron Wren, and we got into that. Now, the program normally, unless something breaking happens, the program normally will come out every Tuesday morning. And so tomorrow, Tuesday morning, we'll have a new program out. And I talked with Dr. Jeff Myers. He runs a program called Summit out in Colorado, and we're going to talk about the Israel conflict with Hamas and the terrorist organization Hamas, how they came in and bombed and raped and killed people there in Israel. And we're going to talk about the worldviews behind that, why that's happening, the history of it, how long it's been going on, and why this problem still persists today.
Talking to Tony Hodge again about this podcast. Now, last time, Tony, that you were on the show, I had you on not necessarily again to talk about politics, although there's a lot of the two things touch each other a lot. But This was not about politics. This was just about faith and family and things of that nature. Boy, did we get the response when you were on the show. Has there been negative response to your show? Because here's the thing about podcasts. There's so many of them out there. People, generally speaking, it's not like terrestrial radio or even television or whatever, or a newspaper where people pick it up and they read it and they say, well, I don't agree with that or whatever. People that are looking for a podcast, whether it's yours or whether it's sports related or food related or whatever, they're going to go out looking for what interests them. Sure. So I would imagine you'd get a lot of negative, but it is kind of a different dynamic, I guess, than what radio is. But the last time that you were on the show, you elicited a lot of text, some pro and some con, and I know that you listen to the show daily. Was there anything that you didn't touch on last time you were here that you'd like to touch on today?
Well,
you stated that America, I'm going to very greatly paraphrase here, that it's your belief that America has gotten way, way far away from its founding, from its Judeo-Christian principles, and you stand by that.
Yes, I do. Yeah, again, like I said, that's not just our country being founded on biblical principles, the Holy Bible. Our country being founded on those principles, it's not even up for debate. I guess if people don't read history books, I guess they could come up with their own conclusion. But the fact is, the Bible is the foundation of our system. As I said, the founders cited the Bible more than any other writings ever, by far. It's far and away. It's not even close. But when I come on the show and I talk about these types of things, faith and family and all that, and I get all the negative response, that goes just to prove what I was just talking about with my guest, Aaron Wren, that we do live in life in the negative world. We do live in a world now where Christianity is not seen as a positive force in the world. Of course, yes, Christians think that it is. And right here in West Virginia, we are insulated a little bit. A lot of people in West Virginia still revere the Bible, still revere the Christian way of life, but it's not like that everywhere else in the country. And when you come on and you start telling things that come from that Christian worldview, and you get those negative responses, that's just evidence that we are heading in the wrong direction. You could come on this show and say those same things 40 years ago, and it wouldn't even make a headline. Nobody would even think.
I would agree with that.
But, yeah, because that would it'd be like coming on the radio and saying, hey, guys, the sky outside is blue. Hey, guys, the grass outside is green. You would just be speaking things that aren't unusual. But now when you come in and you talk about the Christian worldview, it's just a whole different world. And one thing that the podcast is going to help do, you did ask about, have I got any negative response? First of all, let me say, the podcast will help people who have that Christian worldview to be able to navigate this negative world better. As far as negative response, I haven't gotten any negative response. Now, I do always say at the end of every program, I say, look, if you like us, follow us, subscribe. Mm-hmm. If you really like us, give us a review. If you don't like what we're doing, don't listen.
Yeah.
Just don't listen. That's fine. It's a podcast. Like you said, you search these things out. It's not like it's getting crammed down your throat. If you don't like it, just don't listen.
And I will follow that up with what you said about living in a negative world. Regardless of your belief system, we do live in a negative world. It's like we live in a world now where we want to be offended and we want to argue with people, and all you got to do is just go on any social media feed, and it's just I do not think that it's healthy. I'm not a psychologist or physician or anything like that, but I will say I don't think that it's healthy. I have seen people nearly have strokes and aneurysms by something that they read on Facebook. Keep in mind, before you get all upset about something on Facebook, that was probably written by somebody sitting on the toilet. Keep that in mind, okay? So let's, I think we need to dial it back a little bit and, okay, scroll on, brother. Scroll on. Well, and I'm seeing right now in our world of the world that we live in now, and this is I'm going to put this totally on social media. And we've all seen the meme, and I don't advocate violence by any stretch of the imagination, but the meme that says that what Mike Tyson may or may not have said, nobody knows whether he actually said it or not. Social media has made people way too comfortable for saying something, not getting punched in the mouth for it. And I'm very much paraphrasing that. Yeah. But I think that's kind of where we live. People just live to be offended. Yeah. And it's just not healthy, man. It's just not healthy, in my opinion.
Well, I'd like to comment on that because you bring up social media. I actually talked about this on the podcast. So I have a little thought on this social media thing. So a lot of people will blame the negativity and all this on social media and things of that nature, Twitter, Facebook, all of this. But I actually like to take a step back. I don't think it's social media per se, and I'll tell you why. We had social media way back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, okay? We had MySpace, a lot of millennials will remember that. Facebook came out very early 2000s, and then Twitter later on. But we had social media, and the negativity wasn't quite there yet. What is the difference? Well, later on in the 2000s was the release of the smartphone. And I think the smartphone is actually the culprit, and here's why. When we had social media before the smartphone, what you would have to do is get off work, go home, dial into your internet connection.
Great point.
Yeah, pull up your social media, look at it, see pictures, say what you want, and then you have to log back off.
Right.
Now, the immediacy of it, there's so many emotional responses. I've done it myself. I'm guilty of it. You'll see something, you'll have an emotional response. You'll immediately pull out your phone and you'll just vomit into your social media. I've done it.
It's available, as I said earlier. I used the example of sitting on the toilet, but it's available. And I'll give you a good example of where social media has gone, where I think it's gone way too far. Yesterday, my wife and I went out for breakfast yesterday morning. We are sitting at a local establishment having breakfast very early, because we're early people, very early yesterday morning having breakfast. Across from us, there were 3 people sitting there. I don't think that they got off their phones the entire time. Yeah. Here's the kicker. They were all, I would say, 60 plus.
Oh, wow.
In that group.
Okay.
So don't look at young people and say, you young people and your mommies, daddies, grandparents are just as guilty as well. We're not designed to be connected all the time, and we're not designed to go around being offended by by certain connectivity, so to speak. Yeah,
it's the immediacy of the smartphone. The smartphone is what changed the world. It changed the world on the level of like the Model T Ford. That's how impactful the smartphone has been. Before the smartphone, you would have a time filter before you could go on social media and vomit out your stuff.
That's something I've never really thought about.
Yeah, it's the smartphone. That's the culprit. It's not necessarily everybody wants to blame social media because that's where we see it. But you got to back up a step, and that's where it's at. Hey, I do want to say one thing before we go.
You've got text waiting here too, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can get to the text. I do want to tell the listeners this. So tomorrow on the podcast, we're going to be talking about Israel. Next Tuesday on the podcast, we're going to be talking about assisted suicide and euthanasia. I don't know if West Virginia voters are aware, but on your ballot this November the 5th, there will be an amendment to our Constitution that would protect West Virginians against euthanasia. And it's something that conservatives everywhere will support. But we're going to talk about next Tuesday on the podcast, Viewpoint with Tony Hodge. We're going to talk about why we should protect West Virginians against euthanasia.
But isn't it? It's already illegal in West Virginia.
It is. Yeah, it is. The constitutional part of it would put weight behind it by the people. Okay. Is all it is.
I got you. Yeah, that'll be on the ballot in November.
Yeah, it is already illegal. Yes.
Let me knock out a couple of texts here before we let you go. This is for Tony Hodge as a texter. I suspect my wife has committed adultery. What is the recipe for the tabernacle water described in Numbers 5:17 through 28? And how will I know if the water produced a miscarriage and caused my wife's thighs to rot so that she shall be cursed among her people? Somebody taking something literally there, but you want to comment on that?
Well, I mean, I do take a lot of what's in the Bible literally, but one thing I will say is that Numbers is Old Covenant. The Old Covenant has ceased to exist, as it says in Hebrews. It's ceased. We are now under a new covenant. So a lot of that stuff people pull out of Numbers and Leviticus was literally for an old covenant that Christians through the blood of Jesus Christ no longer have to live under. Thank God, because it would be tough.
Text says, Dave, if it takes you more than 15 minutes to explain how an idea isn't racist or sexist, your idea may be the problem.
Well, I haven't heard any racism or sexism on this show today. So
Text says, Dave, does he have a deep dive episode on Hitler was actually a decent guy?
No, Hitler was not a decent guy at all. And people, let me tell you something. People who say that they are and people who platform them, that kind of stuff has got to stop. We can't have revisionist history. Look, I'll call. I don't care what side you're on. I will call you out. If it goes against the truth, then no. You shouldn't be platformed. We shouldn't be talking about it. Hitler was bad. Churchill did a lot of good things and was allied with the Americans in World War II to stop the Nazi regime. And we did a good thing by doing that. Anybody who comes in and tries to revise the history on that is crazy.
Text says, Dave, new episode this week. Fine folks on both sides. Text says, oh, good. Tomorrow's episode can cover the fine points of starve them out of Gaza. Nice, says a texter.
Well, the Gazans, we're going to talk about this on the podcast, but the Gazans came into Israel and not only raped the women, but they mutilated them. They raped them in front of families. They cut off their breasts. There was a lot of things that the Gazans did that is well documented, not in obscure documented in obscure places, documented by the mainstream media. Go look it up. Go look up the terms I just talked about, and you'll see what really happened over there. The terrorists came in and harmed innocent people, and for that, then you start getting into just war theory. Is it just to go in and stop these Hamas terrorists? I believe it is.
Text says, America's gotten away from its founding principles. Black people are free and women can vote. We need to get back to the founding principles of this great country, using Christianity to justify racial and gender superiority.
Well, that's a lot of crazy people will use their religion to promote crazy ideas, and the texture is correct. Although he's trying to be snide toward me, he is correct.
He or she.
True. But it is true that some Christians try to use the religion to promote slavery and things like this, which is ridiculous. We look back at that. Come on, it is absolutely ridiculous. And things like that, like I said, anything that goes against the truth should be called out, and that's ridiculous. But he has no standing. Obviously, he's just trying to fool with me.
Text says, biggest victim complex out there is from Christians. Their existence eraught with persecution, says the texter.
I will say we don't have a lot of persecution in the United States, and the way you would define persecution is actual, like physical, where your livelihood is threatened. We don't have a lot of that in the United States, but Christianity is seen as a negative now in this country, and we need to reverse that.
Final text here says, Tony doesn't want revisionist history. Ironic, his entire history of the U.S. and Christianity is revisionists.
Prove it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Come on the show. Let's prove it.
All right. I don't know who this person is, but
have them call in. Call in.
Right.
Call in right now.
We'll have you on.
Let's do it.
Well, I got to let you go,
okay.
But the next time you're on, because Tony comes on, from time to time, I'll give you plenty of advance.
Let's do it.
Notice.
Text that guy back. Say call in.
All right, texter, call in the next time Tony's on the show. Tony Hodge, the podcast is called
Viewpoint with Tony Hodge. It's going to be out every Tuesday, maybe more often as we have things coming on, but it's on all podcast platforms, Google, Apple, all of them.
All the stuff.
Viewpoint podcast with Tony Hodge. Come on, give us a listen. I think you'll like it.
The Dave Allen Show and 580 Live brought to you part by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce, know that Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap. At Bridge Valley, train for little or no cost, 50-50 salary match too. They can supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses care for your family.
Welcome to Poca Valley, where we've been in business since 1908. Today, we serve Roane, Kanawha, Putnam, and surrounding counties. We believe you deserve banking that provides friendly customer service. For all of your financial needs, stop by one of our 8 convenient locations. Call us at 844-782-2651 or visit us online at PocaValleyBank.com. Poca Valley, where relationships matter.
Member FDIC.
Trojan Landing Marine is excited to announce they've expanded into power sports. Now offering mini bikes from Benelli and scooters from Keyway, you can find everything you need for your next adventure. Whether you're hitting the water or the open road, Trojan Landing has you covered with the latest boats and power sports vehicles. Visit today and check out the new lineup of mini bikes and scooters. Adventure awaits at Trojan Landing in Charleston. Find more fun at TrojanLanding.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Discover the WVRC Media app, your gateway to pristine audio for every WVRC radio station across West Virginia. Download it for free from the Apple or Play stores and enjoy the best music, talk, and local news from Beckley to Morgantown, Charleston to Martinsburg. Our stations are locally programmed, delivering the finest music and robust local news and sports coverage. Experience West Virginia radio like never before. The WVRC Media app. We're proud to live here, too.
It's 4 away from 10. Speaking of podcasts, we're brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy tackles pressing health issues, heart disease, diabetes, and more. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians, aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles. It's a valuable resource for all. Check out the latest episodes on WVMetronews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. Hoppy Kirchner coming up at 10:06 with Metro News Talk Line. This problem of school threats continues to be a thing. Hoppy will get into that. Editor's note on this show this Wednesday. I'm going to be getting into it as well, as my guest will be together. Rob Cunningham from the Department of Homeland Security, and also Deb Rusnick, prosecuting attorney here in Kanawha County. That's on my show Wednesday. Back to Hoppy, though. He's going to get into the latest attempt on former President Trump's life, plus the problem with getting nurses in West Virginia. Tony Carini with the problem with the Mountaineers against Pitt. All coming up with Hoppy 10:06 from the Encove Insurance Studios in the Dale Miller Building in Morgantown. Text says, I hope on his show Tony will talk about Israel supporting abortions, says a texter. Texter says, LOL, more government control from the party of small government. Text says, Tony, call out Tucker Carlson. I'll call out Tucker Carlson. He's a complete moron. Text says, fine folks on both sides was debunked by Snopes. By the way, Biden said the same thing about the pro-Hamas bunch, too, says a texter. Texter says, Tony doesn't want revisionist history. Ironic, his entire history of the... Oh, I already read that one. Sorry, my fault. Too many texts here. Text says, Dave, this is another case of conservatives saying we need a constitutional amendment to make something that is illegal more illegal, sort of redundant, isn't it? That is a reference to, again, I'm going to get into this a little bit later on. When voters go to the polls in November, they are going to be looking at a constitutional amendment having to do with physician-assisted suicide in West Virginia. And a lot of people have said, well, it's already illegal, but they want to kind of bring the constitutional aspect in of it. And again, I'll have more on that as we get closer to the election. Text says, the children in Gaza are innocent and you support bombing them, says a texter. Tony, says a texter, not everybody can go on the radio and vomit out their opinions like you do. Texas Tony's offended that everybody doesn't believe as he does. He needs to accept he's human and no better or worse than the rest of it. All right, we got to go. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in today. Hey, good news. I didn't get into this. We'll end the show on good news. If you're a fan of Graziano's, they're not closing in downtown Charleston. They're staying open. Power the people. All right, we got to go. Coming up on the show tomorrow, Delegate Kayla Young will be stopping by. Plus, we'll spend some time talking about the Salvation Army here in the Kanawha Valley. Ryan Nicholson, my producer, thank you so much. Download the all-new WVRC Media app and the Metro News TV app as well. Hoppy coming up at 10:06 with Talk Line. See you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston and 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.